It's clear that city space, unlike nature, is quite aggressive, that responds to the emergence of alien artifacts in suburbs or streets, some strange people doing some weird things, and it's not by chance that many speakers today mentioned that they always confronted with the policeman. And instead of getting immersed in urban spaces, artists sometimes go away from the city, and this can be called escapism, or some bucolic time. And I would like now to invite the festival from Krasnodar, MOZHET, and it was the initiative of Krasnodar Center for Contemporary Art, Yama Gallery, which is located next to the sea, and Nikolai Moroz is going to tell us about this story. Who was one of the founders of Krasnodar Institute for Contemporary Art, and he participated in different initiatives of artists in Krasnodar. So, like Sasha said, I'm from Krasnodar, and I'm gonna tell you about some of the initiatives of the artists from Zik group. They can be called nomad artists, and now they are in Germany participating in the festival there. So that's why they asked me to tell you about their project. Sasha said that I participated in different events, but my mission is very small if we speak about Zik group movement, but I'm gonna tell you about it anyway. So actually I'm more accustomed to listening, so I'm not a very good lecturer. So I'm going to create this special atmosphere of comfort that we have to work in usually. So all these objects from Kuban are traditional objects, and I brought them as gifts to my friend Anton Belov, who is the director of Garage Museum. So they'll make me feel much calmer. So let's start with the festival MOZHET. Or maybe I should first tell you how this movement started. Some young guys, some young artists met in a squat. So this was the first squat in the House of Veterans. It was back in 2007, and the founder of that squat was Stas, and his nickname is Zhopik. So here you can see that squat. So Stas, nicknamed Zhopik. I don't know him, but some guys told me about him. So he seized this house of veterans, and many artists, many musicians, free young people came there to do some projects. So Eldar, Vassily, and Evgeny Rimkevich met there. So they made something. They did some things there, and this squad was very popular, and it was visited up to 1,000 people during a week. And once some dark cars came to this building, some serious guys came out with some metal objects, and of course they said that that squad belonged to them, and they asked all the students to get away from there. So Zhopik, a year later, seized another squad, and but it was in a hospital, and some artists did their projects just over the night, and there was a performance in the morning with different shouts, but the neighbor heard somebody yelling, so she called the police, and it was shut down. Since then, no squads could be used in Krasnodar. I don't know what this guy, Zhopik, did afterwards. He couldn't use any other squads since then. So in 2008, Vladimir Megachev, together with Vladimir Kolesnikov, came to a newly opened museum of Vladimir Vysotsky, and they had an exhibition called Revision. And they visited Moscow, they visited Maidan Gallery, they understood what contemporary art was like, and the future curators they refused to exhibit works of traditional artists, and they gave a chance to exhibit their works to younger artists. So this is this squat bardak in that hospital, drawings by Vassily. This is Revizia in Vysotsky Museum. And Megachev told us that the contemporary art was to be something new. And so the museum director believed him, and this exhibition worked just for 3 days, and then they removed all the works, because nobody wanted to deal with contemporary art anymore, at least in the spaces that belong to different administrative institutions. But during that exhibition called Revizia, many artists got to know each other, and so they understood that they were going along the same vein, and they when the zip factory was about to collapse, different raiders attacks, so then the owner changed, and this owner began to rent spaces. So the artists heard that they could rent some premises very cheaply, and they decided to rent a studio there together. When we were walking across the museum, this plant space, we saw those machines, all the different signs and attributes of socialist production and manufacturing process. So many objects could be used, the artists thought. So they had an exhibition called Live Corner, Живой уголок, where they exhibited different objects that they found in the factory. So this was their first exhibition in their studio. And their studio existed for 6 years in that zip factory, so they felt themselves to be, real stars, like rock stars, and they invited musicians, some alternative musicians, to give their concerts in their studio. And during one of such closed concerts, there was a crazy guy who came. He broke the window, and the glass from the window damaged some cars that were standing underneath. And then one of the cars belonged to a policeman, so I got a phone call that there was a big problem, and they calculated the money that we had to pay for damaging that car. So we had to come to the meeting with some unknown guys, and they were not very nice, and they said that we're not going to take responsibility for you crazy people, so you have to deal with those problems, car problems yourself. So thus they convinced, they persuaded the administration to stop the contract between the zip factory and the artists. But anyway, during that period of time, between 2008 and 2010, the artists had different events, and then the guys began to say that, we can't stay indoors, we can't stay in the studio all the time, we have to work in the social sphere. We need live communication with the environment where we live, with the local community. There's a real need for that. And they decided to organize the festival MOZHET. And the first festival took place in 2010, and it was a media festival, because every artist's initiative had a very big response from different TV channels, from different information agencies, so lots of TV coverage. And when it was decided to hold the first festival, they developed a plan. That included all the exhibitions that could be attended. So that was the launch of this festival. So basically, the main idea was to improve communication between artists and the community. Yes. This festival doesn't have any patrons, doesn't have any budget. It's a self-organized festival, and the main purpose of this festival is to cover as much area as possible, parks, apartments, different plots of land that are adjacent to different spaces. And I know an agro complex by Alexander Tkachев that seized the area 550,000 square meters in size. And so the artists used some spaces when they wanted to carry out their projects. Excuse me, I said that I'm not a good speaker or a lecturer. So this is a plan that you could use during the festival. Of course, the artists were not allowed to any museums. We have a local history museum and an exhibition center that belongs to the Union of Artists. So they understood that they had nothing to do there. And Vassily Subbotin found some abandoned space behind the museum, and they showed a project by Alexander Lavrov from Nizhny Novgorod, which was called Pop Altar. Pop altar. So many people wanted to participate in this festival, but ZIP group artists mentioned from the very beginning that all the ideas had to be straightforward and easy to digest, and easy to make, because all the works were to be made by the artists themselves. So this is Koshkin Dom, cat's house, and a former police major, Pavel Kush, participated in this festival in his courtyard, and they discovered Ivan Dubyaga, who is a very famous artist from Krasnodar. And this is 2013, poetic graphics by Yuri Kapustyan. They call themselves artists, and tomorrow they're going to call art whatever they want. They're going to call anything art. And Evgeny Rimkevich is in the fields, so every year he expresses his freedom. He is sometimes wearing clothes, sometimes he is naked, and his performance is called Motelyok, a moth. So he is in that black soil, and here you can see the premises above the workshop, and it's a space for playing golf. And they did this work, Facebook symbol for the festival MOZHET. Maybe we should also take a look at dacha. I'm sorry for coughing, I don't know why it came. Ben Popyan. This is Bakhchisarai fountain in 2015. Dacha started in 2010. An activist from St. Petersburg, Kirill Shamanov, became friends with Zip group artists. So he found out that Zip group artists had a dacha on the Black Sea. And so they thought that it would be good to get together by the seaside, and so they announced that there was a chance to have rest and do some art through the social networks. Of course, there were many lazy people who got interested into this. Having rest by the seaside. But the dacha, this cottage house, was not completed yet, and so they had to survive it. It's not about art, open air, it's the ability to survive. So, lots of drinks, lots of freedom, very cheap wine. So, many people got crazy. So this was the first work, Spiral, in the spirit of Robert Asmussen. So they came into these fields and installed their first spiral, and it took about 40 minutes to get to the sea, and they had to cross the road. It's a highway, so lots of traffic, and the guys decided to paint a crossing, a zebra crossing for pedestrians. And later on, the authorities put a sign that you could cross the road there. This is antenna that they installed, meaning that they were ready to receive the signals and communicate. So that was land art. Then in 2011, it was the year of the slave. Everybody knows about this. So 8 legs, 4 penises, and so they were pulling it all across the beach. Crab is thinking about you, and different slogans were used. I just wanted to mention that we showed a booth of one-man pique, and so that crab was the prototype of the booth. And then the construction boomed, and lots of developers began to build their buildings. So they had some volleyball games, and the artists won, and then they had celebrated a day of builders, and since those builders lost the volleyball game, they decided, they made them do some press-ups, and they called the exhibition Builders Day, and then they put the slogan, People Unite, and there was a hurricane that demolished that sign. If only a leader were there, and they helped the farmers to sell their fruit, and then they had this exhibition in Pyatikhatki. This is a village, so there was an elderly lady who came and some children. So the children were working there throughout the day and then would put their works on the stand. But some teenagers broke it down and wrote, "I am Russian," and some bad words, like swearing words, I am Russian, and we don't need such exhibitions. And this is from Bergen Academy. Vася Subbotin was running through the fields and then found this quarry, and so they had some exhibitions there. It was like a gallery for contemporary art, this quarry and those holes. And some Rodchenko school people, they said they wanted to think about art later because they came for rest. Tina Vasyanina, 2015, The Zone of Political Comfort. I was watching that performance. She was attacked by mosquitoes, but she was very courageous, and so she stayed there. Then some noises, and they performed different kind of pieces using different instruments. I'm sorry for the voice. It's really interesting. I'd love to come to see Dacha Gallery. I visited the festival MOZHET. So thank you, Nikolai, for your talk.